Months of planning, practice, and creativity have led to this moment. And now, it's opening night.
Whenever I think of opening night, I get this pit in my stomach. I get so nervous just throughout the day, and then finally, when it's here, it's okay, the adrenaline has hit, it's showtime, it's gonna be amazing.
Opening night is always a thrill, just because you're so stressed and you're the tightest stress ball you could ever be during tech week, and then opening night is kind of when all of that releases. You did everything that you could, you finished everything you could finish by tech, and opening night is the point of no return, so you might as well just make the best of it.
Suddenly there's just so much purpose, because all during rehearsals, it's just an act that you're trying to get down habitually. And then suddenly you have to bring that to life when the audience is there. And I don't think that's ever been a negative experience. It's always okay, finally, I can show someone what we've spent months working on.
I woke up a little nervous this morning, definitely a little bit anxious, because you're just thinking, oh my goodness, it's the first time we're really doing this, and people are paying to come see us do this, which is super exciting. But I think now I'm not even nervous, it's just excitement, because we're so ready to have people here watching our show and experiencing it with us, because we worked really hard, and I think we've created a masterpiece. So that's extremely exciting to have a full house tonight.
Opening night is really the telltale truth of did you succeed?
As a director, opening night is very fun to kind of see what those reactions are actually going to be like. And surprises abound. Some things that you think are going to be hilarious get no laughs. Some things that are, you don't even think about get the biggest laughs. But there's always many moments that what you planned and what the audience perception is are on the same page. And that's kind of why we do it, I think, is when you can really craft a moment or something, or try to craft a moment that people are really going to get and get excited about, or even just quietly connect with.
If you're directing a comedy, you have to imagine you're doing all this funny stuff, but nobody's laughing up until opening night. You think it's funny, but you start to doubt. And I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, and you still wonder, are people gonna laugh at this? Is this gonna be any good? And then the audience comes. And then they either laugh or they don't. And now all of a sudden oh, this is funny. Yeah, the stuff we thought was funny is funny.
That was awesome to have people reacting to our jokes and laughing, because our directors think we're funny. But now other people coming in have to also think we're funny, and we have real character. And I watched part of the show myself too last night, just that ending scene off stage, and I get emotional too, honestly. It's really powerful.
Opening night is always kind of the test audience. How are things reading? How did this read? All questions are answered on opening night.
You kind of hold your breath a little bit, because you don't know, depending on the show, okay, how our audience is going to react, what is the audience going to be like, because so much of between actors and audience, it affects how the show will be. And so you're kind of hesitant and waiting until that first scene is done, and then you're like, okay, we got this, we're good, we're rolling, the ball is rolling, we can't stop now, the show has to keep going or nothing. So it's kind of, you hold your breath for a little bit, but then kind of after that first scene, it's okay, we're going, let's do this. And it's really fun.
I have a really dramatic entrance in this show. When I first walk out on the stage, that's when all of my townspeople are surrounding me as a summer princess. And I think it's kind of that first moment of, oh, I'm doing this. This is actually happening. And then it kind of sinks in, and you just kind of become the character, and it just feels really natural. So I always get that first moment of, when the lights hit me, but then you aren't yourself anymore, you kind of become another person. And so I think it's kind of the magic of theater, is what it is.
Opening night is also sometimes when unexpected things happen. One of the gals they were practicing a move for the opening number for Sleepy Hollow, where they do a spin on the ground and then stand up. One of the gals had caught her foot on her really heavy wool skirt and stepped on the hem and stood up and tore her skirt from her waistband, 10 minutes before we opened or something like that for the performance. So I had to grab it, run downstairs and like stitch that thing together as much as it possibly can. And the skirt, putting it together initially, had broken like 3 different needles. So I was stressed out of my mind, but the repair got done. I threw it at her and she put it on, then went out, and the rest of the show went absolutely fine.
But opening night is always the most nerve-wracking, for me at least. And then as we go throughout the weekend, it's a little less and less scary because we know we can do it now for a live audience. But that adrenaline hits every single night, and it's great. It keeps us on our toes.
I feel like the moment the show opens, as a director or a designer, it's not mine anymore. The leadership of it belongs to other people, belongs to the stage managers, belongs to the actors, all this stuff. It is theirs now. And also, it is meant for the audience now. It's no longer for me. I have too much, for lack of a more positive word, baggage with the show, and I don't mean that negatively. I just, I've been thinking about it for a year and doing all these things. And so I personally can't come into it with just kind of that like new experience with an audience. But I'm more than happy to hand it off and being like, okay, this is yours now. Let me know what you think. It belongs to you now, and it just like exists otherwise, and I'm just kind of a fly on the wall at that situation. I really like that personally. Just kind of that little bit of separation, or that little bit of change in perspective where, like, I did my job as best I can, take it.
Basically, the director sort of tips their hat to the stage manager, because now the stage manager typically is sort of running the show. As a director, and since I'm working in education, I'm still coming to every show that I direct, and I like to run warm-ups with my actors. I'm just in love with watching shows from the wings. So a lot of times I'm just the quiet little mouse who's sort of hanging out backstage while the actors are doing their magic.
Yeah, as a director, it's just sort of like doing your best to make something, giving it to the world, and seeing what happens.
Seeing something that I've written come to life on stage is incredible. I never actually thought it would happen. When I was little, I would write little plays and I would write little stories, and I would make my sisters act them out, and I would make them weird costumes, and I'd make them. And when I was little, I said, I want to write plays someday. I want to write stuff that people will perform someday. And then I got into high school and I got even more serious about it. I was like, I think I want to do that still. I think that'd be cool. And I wrote little plays with my high school friends, and we put them on, and that was cool too. But I always kind of knew I wanted to make something for the Bethany stage, because I always loved Bethany productions. And I didn't think it would happen for real. I took the playwriting class and I learned a lot there, and I was like, I definitely have incredible tools here, and I think I'm a little bit closer, but I think in the back of my mind always doubted that I'd actually have a full-scale production going. Seeing it come to life is unreal. Even in the moments that are difficult, that are frustrating, that are confusing, it still comes back to like, okay, but we made this, and that's what Emily and I keep saying. It's like, okay, it'll happen, and it's gotta happen, and it's going to happen, and that's what's incredible about it.